It's my honor and pleasure to introduce Luke LaRoe and Adam Levine. These two guys are the best in the industry.
If you have legislation that inevitably will cause irreparable harm when it becomes enforced, you don't have to wait for that damage to occur. That gives you standing to go in there and try to get an injunction. And that's exactly what we did. Create a situation where this is not an adequate remedy for anyone. All it does is help the insurance companies. It harms every consumer in the state of Florida, and it just simply isn't, it's not good politics to do that. The other argument we made is pretty basic. We said that this legislation violated your equal protection rights, that there are various medical professionals, healthcare providers, that can continue to provide services to people injured in automobile accidents, but we can't. That's not an equal treatment under the law of people that are, quite honestly, all in the healthcare providing service, and we felt that that was the judge, when we presented our argument, was somewhat incredulous as to the actual impact of this legislation. And I will say, as an aside, throughout my experience with working with this case, it was astounding to me that no one really understood how detrimental this law was for everyone in the state of Florida. And Adam and I both made presentations. I spoke to the Tampa Bay Paralegals Association. He spoke with some chiropractic associations. And amazing to us, nobody really understood that this law was knocking them out at the knees, that this was taking away rights that you'd relied on for probably 30 years. And what we did is we went up there and explained this to the judge, and we felt that some of the arguments made by the attorneys for the Office of Insurance Regulation reflected what I'll politely say is an inaccurate view of this legislation. We felt that they were arguing things to the judge that weren't really in the legislation. And having reviewed it extensively with Adam, page by page, all 70+ pages of it, we felt we were pretty familiar with it, and we couldn't understand where these arguments were coming from. Now, the bottom line was that we're the government, we're here to help the public, we can act and exercise our police power in the interest of the public health, safety, and welfare, and if we say this is good for the citizens of the state of Florida, that's good enough for us, and that should be good enough for you, Judge.
There's not a lot for me to say. I think Luke covered everything really well and really thoroughly, and I think that the critical thing that you can do right now is take a look around, think about what he's just said. We're the only two attorneys suing the state in this case. I think that between the two of us, we know everything there is to know about this case. You're getting a lot of information from people that have absolutely nothing to do with this case. It sounds terrible when I say that, but I get letters, I get emails. I'm the one doing all the affidavits. I'm seeing all the emails from people that are talking about what we really didn't say. Most people have no idea who the heck I am. A lot of people don't know Luke. They don't know us when we show up randomly to meetings and listen in. You're getting information that's not correct, that's inaccurate, that's hurting you. Vivian is a fantastic resource. Without Vivian, who doesn't even live in the state of Florida, there might be no fight. It is amazing to me, with over 30,000 massage therapists that are licensed in the state of Florida, that only 5,000 belong to this organization. It is absolutely shocking to me that I have been collecting affidavits for this case now for over 3.5 or 4 months. I collected about 40 affidavits for the federal case that I can't use in the state case. They have the wrong caption on it. I'm trying to contact those 40 people so that I can get them to refile them in the state case. It's a challenge because not everyone included their address, their email, their phone number, or some contact information. So it's a little bit of a challenge to work through it with everything else that we're trying to do. Because in addition to this fight, which occupies all of our time, we have other jobs to pay some of the bills, where the lights go out. It's shocking to me that I've received, for Monday, only 63 affidavits. Praxis in Miami should be applauded. They provided about 60% of the affidavits that I gave in. Right? So Miami, everyone owes them a debt of gratitude. It's amazing to me that with 30,000 massage therapists in the state of Florida, the vast majority of the affidavits, 50-something, came from massage therapists. They only got a handful from chiropractors. What's amazing to me is chiropractors have this tendency to forget to sign their affidavits. Luke called me, I was in the meeting with a client, I started screaming. They thought I was having a seizure. I was very excited. It was hard for me to work for the rest of the day. The amazing thing is, within minutes of getting that order and publishing that, within minutes, all the groups that should have been supporting us were already saying, well, that's really bad, it didn't do this. That's really bad, it didn't do that. That's really bad, it didn't do this. Hello? And they didn't publish the order like they did when we got beaten up in federal court. But they jumped in and said, these guys are terrible. And then the next thing they did is they went around to all their constituents and told some mistruths. They got around like they became true. If you tell a lie long enough and loud enough, it becomes the truth.